Hey everyone, and welcome to our post-game interview updates. I'm your host, Lauren Kalil. Our show is brought to you by the U.S. Army Warrior Fitness Team, which provides awareness of Army opportunities while serving. Team members are active duty soldiers that compete in CrossFit and strongman, strongwoman competitions, both nationally and internationally. To learn more, check out the link in our description. On today's show, we have two-time CrossFit Games athlete who went from 14th to 11th, Arielle Loewen. You just moved into your new house. You're doing great. How's it been?
Oh, it's been great. This is the first podcast slash interview I've done in our house. And so I'm like, I know exactly where we're going to post stuff behind. But I'm so excited. And the timing has been perfect because there's no way I would have had the time to clean it or move in stuff before the games. So now it's like games are officially done. I don't have to do anything besides get the house ready and all the fun stuff.
I was going to say, how did timing work out so perfectly? Because I've moved before, and to get like the stars to align is not great.
No, I mean we've been building this house for like 2 years now. So we technically could have moved in maybe like 2 months ago, but we knew there was no rush. So we're like, we'll just wait until August after the games. Where we live now, we have a really good living situation. So I think that made it really easy to kind of like postpone and postpone.
Well, and I feel like it's a nice little treat to yourself. Like you get done with the games and now can like move into your new house, take time to decorate, unpack, all of that kind of stuff.
It's amazing. And the past 2 years, all I've asked for Christmas is like home stuff. So it's like I had the games, and now coming back from the games, it's like Christmas opening up all these boxes. It's been like one little like reward after the other.
What's the first room that you want to decorate?
Definitely okay, I don't even know if you call it a room, but the pantry. I've saved
I
so
call that
many
a room.
like,
That's where all the snacks
oh
are.
yeah, so many like organizing bins and like black storage containers just to make it look all fancy. That's what I went through first today and like made it all look good. And then next I'll put the food in there and then I'll worry about the other stuff.
So how are you feeling? I mean, your second CrossFit Games, how have the experiences compared for you?
They've been actually like really different. So the first year was a lot of nerves, a lot of stress, a lot of you don't know what to expect. So just like a little uneasy the whole time. This
Mhm.
time at the games, I felt like I was hanging out with my friends, doing workouts at my home gym. It was just so relaxed. And I don't know if it's because I liked the events more or we didn't know any of the events. So it was kind of all unknown. But for some reason, this year was just so much more fun. And I felt like I was able to soak up every workout and all the experiences.
So overall, you enjoyed the programming this year better than last year?
I really did. I felt like they did a really good job of having strength events mixed in with something that's not a strength event. So like the echo press, someone
Oh
who's a
yeah.
little bit taller can kill the bike, but you have to be able to then do a handstand push-up. So I really liked the little elements they added that kind of made it like whoever's the best athlete will do well. I liked that.
What was it like to be in the final heat? Was this like a goal going into this games?
Oh, definitely. It was my goal on the final day or one of the days to be in the final heat with the best of the best. Because last year, the only time I was in the final heat was when it was like all 40 athletes on the field at once
Hmm.
or all 20 at once. And I found my way in there. But this year, to be in that final heat and to be the last one to take the stage was so surreal because you've got all the big time athletes. You've got Tia in there, Laura, like all of them. So it was just really cool to not just be in the final heat, but to be there almost all weekend. And then to be like, I guess I belong here. This is my heat for the weekend. It was great.
Well, I mean, you do belong there, but then watching you win elevated Elizabeth and beating all of those top game athletes that I'm sure you've been watching throughout your journey, like at what point did you know you had won that event?
I don't think I really knew until I beat Kara's time and crossed the finish line
Mm.
because I knew she had a really, really good time. I knew I was going to win the heat there was a moment where like me and Tia were head to head. I think it was going into the last round of 9 or the first round of 9, and I jogged to the P bars and she walked. And that was the moment I knew, like, okay, I feel good enough to jog. The P bars aren't that bad. I think I can hold on and do this. And then just from there, it was just like my emotions got like more excited and more excited, and then it was all over.
Is it hard to, like, contain some of those emotions and not have, what some people would call, like, an early celebration before, like, you've actually crossed the finish line?
Yeah, I think that's why I was so conscious, because I knew Cara still had a good time. So I was
Yeah.
like, okay, this is exciting. I'm doing well in this heat, but it's not over yet. But it's funny, I was listening to a podcast from someone saying that, like, when you're in those moments, you don't feel any pain, as far as like you're still breathing and your legs are on fire, your arms are on fire, but you're so excited internally. I couldn't even tell you if my arms hurt, if my legs were tired, if my back was sore. I was just like cloud nine, and that's all I remember.
Do you black out during certain events and you're like, "How did I even get across this finish line right now? Like, where am I?"
I feel like I black out and then I like come to life in different moments. Like on the Capitol event, I blacked out, but I still remember like a certain moment on the run, a certain moment lifting up the sandbag, and then somehow I got to the top of the stairs. So it's like the little painful moments you get like little glimpses of.
I feel like that's an event that I would wanna be blacked out for the entire time.
Oh, were you there at the finish line at the Capitol?
I wasn't at the finish line, I was where everybody picked up the Husafell bags.
Oh, that whole State Street was packed with people.
It
Yeah, that
was
was a
well, and I thought strategically I could watch people pick up the bags and then make it to the finish line, but there were just so many spectators that I wasn't expecting, and there was no way I was gonna get into the finish line.
it was unreal. It's funny you say that. Like people were just everywhere around that Capitol.
Yeah, and I heard from other athletes too that just the way that, like, certain roads were blocked off and other ones, like, kind of were, kind of weren't. There were people, like, biking or, like, rollerblading, like, past athletes at certain times.
It's funny. It's funny you say that, Lauren, because I almost got hit by like 3 bikers. And I usually am like very nice. It
What?
takes me a lot. Yeah, it takes me a lot to get mad. But they would like swerve past me, and they're clearly wearing like noble clothes, CrossFit clothes. So I know they're CrossFitters, and they'll be like, good job. And I'm like, get off the trail.
No, no.
Exactly. So after that, I like purposely ran in the middle of the lane to be like, come on, guys, like we're over
Yeah.
here dying. Give us 20 minutes and then you can ride your heart out. That's
Oh
funny. Other
my
people said it
gosh.
too. Yeah.
Yeah, and I was like, "That's so weird," because and especially that it was, like, other people that do CrossFit because I can't even, like, imagine the balls that it would take to, like, "Hey, like, they're in the middle of an event right now, let me go
Yeah.
rollerblade next to them."
Oh yeah. But there were people that were a little crazy like that. And then there were actually people who I loved because they would be like right next to the trail and they'd be
Uh,
playing music
love
and
that.
they'd just be playing. Yeah. And I was just like, thank you. I need a good song right now.
Well, and it's funny you say that because I was wondering, you guys aren't allowed to use headphones or anything, so how grueling is an event like that where you're just in this open space where there's nothing but your thoughts?
That's a good way to put it. Thankfully, here in Midland, Texas, it's very brown and dirt everywhere. So at least running there, the scenery was beautiful. Like we're running
Mhm.
through the woods, we're running next to a lake. So it was at least really pretty.
I like the silver lining in that.
Yeah. Still stunk though.
Yeah. When you got done with that event, the day was far from over. You guys only had a
Yeah.
couple of hours before the next event. I know athletes always talk about, we went and jumped in like an ice bath. We had body work. We ate a lot. But I guess, as somebody who does CrossFit, obviously not to your level, it's still hard for me to wrap my mind around how you guys pushed through the rest of the day.
Yeah. So that was what, Friday? Friday actually wasn't too bad. I don't think it caught up to me until Saturday. We did the swim event and then we did that one outside with the wall balls and snatches. That was the event that like I actually felt like, oh my goodness, I'm so tired. It's so hot out here. I'm so fatigued. But I think I was still riding on the high from the Capitol, that it really didn't kick in until like it was like my hangover. I was hungover the next day, not that day.
When we go back to some of the earlier events, let's actually go back to Elevated Elizabeth. When
Okay.
you look at a movement like dips on the parallel bars, it's interesting because the first CrossFit gym that I was ever a member at, for whatever reason, we had them. They weren't like used in class, but you could use them for accessory work. But anytime I've dropped into another gym, I've never seen them. Is that something that you train often, that your gym has? Like how exposed are you to something like that?
It's funny you ask because the first gym I went to had those bars. And I was
Oh, something about
reflecting.
our first gyms.
I know. Oh geez. But I was
Yeah.
reflecting after Elevated Elizabeth, and the first CrossFit workout I ever did in 2012 was like push-ups on dumbbells and then dips on those P bars. And then all the
Talk
time
about
at
a full
that gym,
circle.
right? All the time at that gym for warm-up, we would do like traverses across. The gym I went to in 2012 was very much like an OG CrossFit. Like we did Atlas stones, we would carry logwood, just, you know, just very like OG. They've since closed down, but I'd like to think those roots like helped me win that event. I haven't messed with them in years, but
So that was like the last time that you had done dips on
yeah. They have at my gym, they'll have like the matador that you can like attach
yeah.
to the rig. Yeah. But other
That's
than that,
still different because like the width of it
yeah.
is kind of weird.
Yeah. But it's probably been, oh my goodness, like 10 years since I've been on P bars like that. But I guess it's just like riding a bike. My body just like knew what to do.
There you go. I mean, it was really cool to watch. What was it like
Thanks.
crossing the finish line and like really just finally taking it all in?
I mean, I don't think I could put it into words, but like crossing, I just remember thinking like, my husband's gonna be so proud of me. My whole family's here. I can't believe they get to see this. And then I was like, okay, don't cry. Just wave to the crowd, like control yourself. Just it's just unreal. Because I would have never, even seeing that event when they announced it, I never thought like, oh, this is my event. I'm gonna win this one. Never.
Is it still surreal like over a week later?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Just I guess like I remember the event and I know that I did well, but just to fathom that I won an event at the CrossFit Games just kind of blows my mind. And I don't know if you saw a picture of the trophy that they gave us. Usually they're like silver, they're like brass or antique looking. It's black and gray. So it like matches the color scheme of our house perfectly.
Are you kidding me?
Yeah. So
So
I
it's
was
gonna
like,
go right in
that's
the
correct.
pantry.
Yeah, that's gonna go in the pantry. Yeah, exactly. Or in the bedroom. I don't know yet.
So many options because you haven't decorated yet.
I know, exactly.
What is like one of the coolest things to me is I'll never forget your interview 2 years ago at the semifinal when I don't remember who the sideline reporter was, but they were asking about, you're going to the CrossFit Games and you're like, I just wanted to get my name card for my house. Like that will stick with me forever. And it's just crazy to think of you during that interview. And I'm sure that there were people who were like, oh, like she's like probably going to compete this year and maybe never again, but then see you
Right.
like on this upward trajectory after having a kid, like you're growing your family, you're moving into this house, like it's really cool to see. Did you ever think that, when you did so well at that semifinal, got your name card, that you would be where you are now?
No, to think I went there for like a name sign and now I'm coming home with a beautiful black and silver trophy from the games. Like it just makes no sense statistically or like any way you look at it. It's just surreal. And it kind of seems like a fairy tale because it makes no sense. And it's like, how did you get from point A to point B? But I think that's why I love it so much, is it's unheard of.
Well, and you can just see like the passion when you speak and your body language. And it's like, obviously it's hard work and you didn't get here by mistake, but it's like your passion and just the way you carry yourself, it makes it that much sweeter as a spectator to just like see the happiness that the sport brings
Oh,
you.
thanks. Well, I really do feel like the everyday like CrossFitter who showed up to the class and still does the class, loves the community, but now I'm just like, I don't get to just like watch the games at home on my couch. Now I get to be and experience it. I still feel like just like the affiliate CrossFitter who's like living their dream life in the actual CrossFit world.
You are, because you're the one that's like, yeah, like I go to the gym for like maybe 2 hours. I do like group class in CrossFit. And so many
Right.
people are like, we can't do that. We have to like follow specific programming and all of this. And
Right.
I'm not saying that you're the rule, but it's just it gives like a little like spark to it.
Yeah, exactly. I love it. I love it.
So looking at the games as a whole this year, did you have a favorite event?
Of course, I loved Elevated Elizabeth just because of the outcome, but I really, as much as it sucked, the Capitol to me was just like historic. I don't know if that's the way to put it, but just making your way, like jogging across the city. It feels like the whole city of Madison was there just cheering you on, and you're like Rocky marching up these steps. It was just really, really, really cool. I've never sweated so much and been so exhausted, but it was really cool. And it got to
Well,
the point, like we had to carry, you saw, we picked up the bag and carried it up. We had to carry it like 100 meters on our shoulder. And it got to the point where my arms just like gave out. So somebody got this video of me like turtle shelling it on my back, where it's just like, there
I
was
love
nothing.
it.
Yeah, it was like, what can we do? Okay,
Get
piggyback
the
it
job
is.
done.
Right, just like the grit behind it. I loved it.
What was your least favorite event?
My least favorite was honestly, I on paper I would have loved the event, but it was the wall ball snatch event just because I felt like mentally I broke down and physically my body was just like, okay, you're tired. We're gonna do what we can to finish, but this is a lot. So just because physically and mentally I kind of like fell apart on that one. That was definitely my least favorite in the weekend.
Is that when you started to feel like you were almost like decombusting?
Yeah, that's when it was like the hangover caught up with me, and it was like you can
Uh,
only take so much Advil, you can only eat so much food, your body's tired.
there's only so much icy hot that you can rub all over your body.
Exactly. But then after that, we had the sandbag event, and that one kind of like lifted my spirits because that was just a fun event to watch and to do.
What was it like? Because I think it was Amanda Barnhart who I saw in the elevator like after that event, and I was like, "So, like what did you think not having a barbell?" And she was like, "Honestly, at first I was not happy about it. Like I was angry there was no heavy barbell, but
Oh,
then we
no.
got out there and started doing it and it was just so cool." And I feel like that's kind of the overall sentiment that I've gotten the more athletes I talk to. What were your initial thoughts? And then once you were out there, did they shift?
Definitely. So my initial thought, I kind of talked to Christy about this too, Ermo, was that the sandbag's not going to be fun to watch because every bag looks the same. At least with a barbell, you can see more blue plates, more green plates going on. So we were like, this is going to be boring. And then when we got out there on the floor, it was so exciting because
Yeah.
I don't know if other athletes have, but I've never tested a max sandbag clean. So I felt like all the athletes on the floor were kind of like figuring out their PR lifts at the same time as the audience got to watch it. At least that was my interpretation. It was really cool to see like what are our limits. Can a girl lift the 250-pound sandbag? Can I lift a 200-pound sandbag? And you just kind of like unfold it all together.
What is the warm-up area like for events like that and some of the other ones where there's like these new skills and people are trying to figure out like what is the most efficient way to like maneuver something like a sandbag?
It's kind of chaotic, honestly, because they have one of each sandbag just like in a row. And it's like free for all. Okay, try the 150 with all the other 40 athletes watching you. Okay, now try the
Oh, I would
160.
hate that. I would hate
Oh,
that.
it's so nerve-wracking. So you had people that like clearly couldn't get the 150 backstage and you're like, oh, they're not gonna do very good. And then they go out on the floor and hit 160, 170, 180. Like it's amazing what backstage will tell you, and then you get on the floor and adrenaline just like takes
Mm.
over. But it gets so intimidating and nerve-wracking backstage watching everybody warm up and seeing what other athletes can do.
Do you feel like there are certain athletes that like have these strategies that try to like psych other athletes out, if that makes sense?
I can see it. I really got good friends with Danny Spiegel at the event. We drove to the venue together, drove away together. I
Oh my
wouldn't
gosh, how
say,
cool.
oh, she was so cool. So I actually showed up late to the first athlete briefing, like a rookie, and she was like,
You're not a
Arielle.
rookie though.
I know. She was like, Arielle, why are you late? Next time, just text me and we'll ride together. So she go ahead and
Oh,
gives
that's
me her number, and
amazing.
then it was so sweet. So we talked about all the events, and she was the only one who she wasn't trying to psych me out, but I asked her opinion, like, hey, what do you think about the sandbag? And she was like, well, I think most girls, well, everybody will get the 200. Most girls will get out around 220, and then I think a few girls will get the 250. And I've only ever done 150-pound sandbag clean. So I was just like, okay, I'm like out of touch with your reality. Because if I get
Right,
200,
right.
I'm going to be excited. 220 to me is like impossible. So it's just funny to see like her strategy and her confidence versus mine. It was kind of funny.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, like it really depends who you talk to on like what they think is realistic.
Yeah. And then here I am talking to the event winner. So of course, 220 is going to be
Sure.
easy.
Well, and even when you watched her do it, I mean, her back was so straight the whole time.
Yeah.
You watch like some other people and they're like, I'm like, oh my gosh, are they going
Mhm.
to snap in half? Like, are they okay?
Oh, that honestly, watching from the sidelines, some people would like legit bend in half. I was like, this is it. There goes
Yep.
their back.
This is right.
Yeah.
I was like, double belt. Somebody bring a second belt in.
That'd be so funny. But yeah, hers was fun to watch because she did like the perfect technique as far as like just propped it up there.
Yeah. I mean, she just has like this grit strength that she could. But watching
Yeah.
that event was so fun. You
I
kind of
agree.
talk about your relationship with Danny, and especially because this was your second year going to the games, did you find that you started to make more friends at the games? I know that it's like it's weird because these are your competitors, but like in between events when you have downtime, do people like mingle and like share the experience together at all?
Some do and some don't. Some will do the event and then go back to their hotel room right away. Excuse me, I think that's why me and Danny were such good friends because she was kind of like goofy and lighthearted backstage where we would just talk about the events, talk about our lives, talk about food. Her and like Alex
Crumble
Bazan.
cookies.
Yeah, exactly. She had, it's funny you say that. Her hips were sore one day and like her coach was massaging them out and she was like, what is this muscle? Like pointing to like the side of her hips. And I was like, I don't think that's a muscle. I think that's your crumble cookie storage spot. She's like, it's so sore. So just
Oh,
like
that's
super
amazing.
goofy. Yeah. Yeah. So just super goofy backstage. Whereas some athletes are a little bit more serious.
Sure.
Alex Gazam was real fun to talk to. Those that are a little bit more lighthearted, I feel like we all kind of like found each other.
This year, something that I thought was also cool is you brought your daughter Blakely.
Yeah.
I I I don't know if and you'll answer this, but I don't know if it's more stressful to have your kid there, or less stressful because you're like excited and want like her to be part of it? So like as a mom, because you see Cara with Scotty and she was like at the finish line a lot, but like
Right.
as a newer mom, what was that experience like for you having your daughter there?
It was fun, but I had my mother there and then my mother-in-law. So I really didn't have to do anything, which was great. I just more like felt bad for Blakely because you're outside in the heat all day. So I don't know if I'd do it again, but it was fun walking through the beer garden and Blakely would see me there and give me a big hug. And then
Oh,
in the morning, she'd wake up. This was the sad part, I guess. She'd be like, Mom, don't go to the CrossFit Games today. She's like, let's just hang out. I was like, don't tell me this. So it was fun having her there. And when I was doing the sandbag event, I was able to like see where she was and we were making silly faces to each other. But
aw.
it was cool. But maybe when she gets a little bit older, because it's a lot for a little kid. It's a lot.
Yeah. And it's a long time. It's not just a weekend, it's a very long extended weekend.
And we didn't get a rest day on Thursday. So I didn't really get a chance to like actually hang out with her in Madison at all, unfortunately. But that's
Mhm.
kind of part of the CrossFit Games.
It's all part of the process and
Mhm.
kind of like going with the ebbs and flows of it all.
Exactly.
When you think about like the CrossFit Games, you know, you got your ticket this year to the games through the Last Chance Qualifier, but then you go to
Right.
the CrossFit Games and you're 11th. You're 11th. Like wrapping your head around that when you almost didn't get a ticket to the games this year. What are your thoughts on kind of the system of whether it's like programming, whether it's like the semifinal structure? Because I know like it's a conversation that like we've been having as, you know, reporters in the space. What is the
Yeah.
best system to find the fittest? But I think that like you're a great example of you almost didn't go to the games, but then you place 11th. Is there like, I don't know, is there a better system in your mind that thinks we could do moving forward?
Yeah, it's funny you say that because me and Christy O'Connell talked about that as well. Because last year,
Same
same
situation.
last chance, and then she winds up in the top 10 at the games. So I don't know if it's programming of semifinals, if they don't seed out the athletes right from quarterfinals. But we kind of both said, I hope they look at Christy, they look at me, they look at Nick Matthews, who got a backfill, and kind of say,
Yeah.
okay, what are we testing at semifinals? Is this the type of athlete we want to see at the game? So kind of, I guess, looking at semifinals more as far as seeding, I felt like I was in one of the most competitive seeded semis at the syndicate. If you look at Haley Adams, who's in the top 10, Alexis Raptis, Christy O'Connell, I didn't make it. And, you know, it's just good athletes. So I
Right.
don't know what change other than seeding out and really seeing like, what do we want to test? What athletes do we want there and going from there? But I think it's a good question. I don't know who answers it, but it's a good
Right.
question.
Yeah, I was just curious from like an athlete perspective and obviously being like a great example of it if like it kind of got your brain thinking or like you said talking to other
Yeah,
athletes like Christy about, you know, maybe standardized programming in the stage before the games is an option. Um it's just interesting to see it like play out the way that it did.
it is interesting. And just not me, but also Nick Matthews did so well.
Right. Yeah, and he was a backfill.
Yeah,
Insane. When you see how well he did, event wins as well, like crazy.
yeah, yeah. It makes no sense, but I hope other people look at it. So I'm glad you guys are talking about it too.
We we are. After this, I'm gonna start seeing, okay, who would be good to kind of debate this topic and maybe throw out some ideas because I definitely think it's a conversation worth having as we are so fresh off of the 2022 season and look ahead to next year.
Exactly.
And looking ahead to next year, what off-season competitions can we expect to see you at?
Yeah, right now, I really, really want to go to the Road Invitational. It's in my home state. It's only like 4 hours away from us in Austin, Texas. That's just invite only. So I'm just waiting for the invite, which I hope it'll come. Maybe Wadapalooza, but it really just depends how I feel, how my body feels. So I don't really have any big plans. The next big thing, which this is just goofy, my husband and my brother-in-law are going head to head for the open workouts this year.
Oh, yes.
Like head to head, like already talking smack, like gonna be competitive. So the next big thing is I'm gonna turn into the coach role for the open for my husband. I'll still do the open, of course, but that's
Obviously.
the next big competition.
Make sure that you live stream it on your Instagram. Let us all watch and enjoy as spectators.
Well, I told him, I was like, I'm gonna see what I can do. If I could reach out to someone and they're like, the main event is these two like CrossFit members who are affiliate going head to head, like a Boz versus Rory. Like,
Yeah.
they would probably hate me so much, but it would be like, it's what everybody does at the gym. You've got your two
Right.
average, better than average members, just like duking it out on the competition floor.
That's what we need to see. I'm here to support it.
Yeah. We need to see like the games athletes do it, unrealistic scores. Then let's see the actual athletes go, the hometown athletes.
Well, and speaking of like the hometown athletes and the different affiliates, do you have any plans to, travel to any camps or like maybe catch up with Danny in for a workout, anything like that this year?
Love to. I invited her here. So if she goes to Rogue, she said she might come check out the new house, work out in our garage, and then we'll drive to Rogue together. So we'll see if that happens. But I'd love to. I have some underdog friends. I'd love to go train in Vegas. I'd love to go see Danny and or maybe even Mayhem. It'd be fun to go to Mayhem too. Just kind of make my way around, travel the world a little bit.
Perfect. Why not? Great opportunity for it now. Well, Arielle, thank you so much for catching up with us. Again, incredible performance at the games. We're so excited to see what your future has in store because 2 years in a row, you're just ticking on up, girl.
Yeah, thanks. I appreciate it.